The community groups and businesses and different organizations, any press who might be in the audience. I don't see any, but you never know because they kind of look around in the shadows. And I'd like to introduce all the councillor-elects. We have Aaron Trainer, Doug Patton, Janet Peake, Richard Barkwell, Adrian Betts, and Marty Van Alphen. And then over here, we have Judge Keys, and I would like to ask her to take over from here, and we'll all take our oath of office. Thank you.
Okay. Does this work? Okay. I'll ask each of you to come up in turn. And you'll come here, and you'll read it out. And when that's all done, you'll sign. All right. So, first person is Doug Holmes.
I, Doug Holmes, do solemnly affirm that I am qualified to hold the office of mayor for the district of Summerland, to which I have been elected. I have not, by myself or any other person, knowingly contravened the Local Government Act respecting vote buying or intimidation in relation to my election to office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office and will not allow any private interest to influence my conduct in public matters. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect pecuniary interest I have in a matter and will not participate in the discussion of the matter and will not vote in respect of the matter. Solemnly affirm.
I'll call upon Aaron Trainer next.
I, Aaron Trainer, do solemnly affirm that I am qualified to hold the office of Councillor for the District of Summerland to which I have been elected. I have not, by myself or any other person, knowingly contravened the Local Government Act respecting voting, buying, or intimidation in relation to my election to the office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office and will not allow any private interest to influence my conduct in public matters. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect pecuniary interest I have in a matter and will not participate in the discussion of the matter and will not vote in respect of the matter.
So affirm.
Yes.
Sign right there. Martin Van Open.
Thank you. Martin Van Elfen, do solemnly affirm that I am qualified to hold the office of Councillor for the District of Summerland to which I have been elected. I have not by myself or any other person knowingly contravened the Local Government Act respecting vote buying, intimidation, or relations to my election to the office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office and will not allow any private interest to influence my conduct in public affairs. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect pecuniary interests I have in the matter and will not participate in the discussions of the matter and will not vote in respect of the matter.
So affirm.
I do affirm.
I next call upon Richard Barco.
I, Richard Barco, do solemnly affirm that I am qualified to hold the office of Councillor for the District of Summerland to which I have been elected. I have not by myself or any other person knowingly contravened the Local Government Act respecting vote buying or intimidation in relation to my election to the office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office and will not allow any private interest to influence my conduct in public matters. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect pecuniary interest I have in a matter and will not participate in the discussion of the matter. I will not vote in any respect of the matter.
So affirm.
I affirm.
Sign right there. I next call upon Adrian Betts.
I, Adrian Betts, do solemnly affirm that I am qualified to hold the office of Councillor for the District of Summerland to which I have been elected. I have not, by myself or any other person, knowingly contravened the Local Government Act respecting vote buying or intimidation in relation to my election to the office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office and will not allow any private interest to influence my conduct in public matters. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect pecuniary interest I have in a matter and will not participate in the discussion of the matter and will not vote in respect of the matter. And so affirm.
Now call upon Doug Patton.
I, Doug Patton, do solemnly affirm that I am qualified to hold the office of councillor for the district of Summerland to which I have been elected. I have not, by myself or any other person, knowingly contravened the Local Government Act respecting vote buying or intimidation in relation to my election to the office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office and will not allow any private interest to influence my conduct in public matters. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect pecuniary interest I have in the matter, and I will not participate in the discussion of the matter and will not vote in respect of the matter. I affirm.
And last but not least, Janet P.
I, Janet P., do solemnly affirm that I am qualified to hold the office of councillor for the district of Summerland to which I have been elected. I have not by myself or any other person knowingly contravened the Local Government Act respecting vote buying or intimidation in relation to election to my office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office and will not allow any private interest to influence my conduct in public matters. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect pecuniary interest I have in a matter and will not participate in the discussion of the matter and will not vote in respect of the matter. I do affirm.
Thank you very much, Judge Keith. So we're all good. So just on the for the agenda, I'm going to give an inaugural address, and then we'll have a couple of business items to deal with, and I hope you all stay afterwards because we have some refreshments and some appetizers at the back that we'll wrap up with. I'm going to try and be short here, but just in case I have this leftover 30-second rebuttal card that I'll use if I have to. Free and fair elections are the cornerstone of democracy. With that in mind, I would like to thank every resident of Summerland who turned out to vote in the recent local elections. And thank you to every candidate who put their name on the ballot for either mayor, councillor, or school board trustee. Summerland is a better place for your participation in the democratic process. I'd also like to acknowledge the families and friends of all the candidates. We couldn't have hiked the campaign trail without you by our sides. As we embark on a new term, I would like to thank the previous council and take a moment to recognize past Mayor Tony Boot and past Councillor Aaron Carlson for their service to the community over the last 8 years. Congratulations are in order to Dave Stathers and Linda Van Elfen, who were both re-elected as Summerland's trustees on the school board. And unfortunately, they can't be here tonight because they're being sworn in themselves at the school board office. And congratulations to each of you here who were elected or re-elected as councillor. Councillor Van Elfen, Councillor Betts, Councillor Barkwell, Councillor Peak, Councillor Patton, and Councillor Traynor. For myself, it is truly an honor and a privilege to serve as your mayor. I feel a huge sense of responsibility, and you have my commitment. I will always work in the best interests of Summerland. When I look around the table, I see a council that is deep with experience. At the same time, I see we've been given an injection of new energy. And I see we are a diverse group, each of us with different backgrounds, skills, accomplishments, and perspectives. Together, we, with our capable and dedicated municipal staff, most of them are sitting over there, I salute you. I see the makings of a very productive term on council. We have a lot to draw on, and we're going to need every ounce of our collective strength. Over the next 4 years, we will be facing some major challenges. We'll be making some difficult decisions, and we're not always going to see eye to eye. On occasion, we may need to remind ourselves to remain respectful, to be open and honest with each other, and to continue working in a spirit of cooperation. The community will expect nothing less. The people of Summerland have given our council a clear mandate. Expectations are high. We have work to do, and I can't wait for us to get started. Finland, thank you. Probably the last applause I'll ever see in council. So we're on to our business items now. And the first item is deputy mayor appointment. As this is a proposal I'm bringing forward, I won't turn it over to staff unless they want to add something, but I'll just speak to it myself. I spoke about this idea during the election campaign, and traditionally what we do, like many municipalities do, is we designate councillors to serve as an acting mayor on a monthly rotating basis. The councillor member only steps into that acting mayor role when the mayor is absent. Usually on any given month, nobody really knows who the acting mayor is, including the acting mayor themselves. It's not unusual for a councillor to go through their entire term without ever being called upon to act as mayor. When an acting mayor is asked to chair a council meeting, often it's with very little notice, and there's no preparation or familiarization with the agenda. So often makes for an uncomfortable council meeting. When neither the mayor nor the acting mayor is available, which has happened, it creates problems for chairing meetings. It creates problems for the administration who are trying to get documents signed. And when nobody is available to represent council at official functions or community events, I think that reflects quite poorly on all of us, all of council. On the regional districts in BC, they appoint a vice chair. And I was fortunate in the last term to serve as the vice chair of the RDUS. And I saw firsthand in that position the value that it brought to both the board of the RDUS and the administration. It's not very common for municipalities in British Columbia to have deputy mayors, although there are a few that do. But the rest of Canada, it is very common, and often they're either directly elected or they're appointed from amongst council. In Ontario, it's common to be either elected or it's the councillor with the most votes that becomes the deputy mayor. I don't know, I don't think our legislation allows us to have elected deputy mayors in BC, but there's nothing stopping us from appointing one. It was reported in the press that Penticton has adopted a deputy mayor, but that's not really accurate. That's not what they're doing. They've simply changing the acting mayor rotation to every 6 months rather than every month. I suppose that solves the problem of not knowing who the acting mayor is, but it doesn't really provide any added value. The terms acting mayor and deputy mayor are sometimes used interchangeably, but there is a difference. The acting mayor is only called upon when the mayor is absent. It's not something that really weighs on that person's mind or takes anything away from what else they're doing. The deputy mayor on the other hand, is always the deputy mayor. They're not they're serving an actual purpose. They have specialized duties to perform on a consistent, ongoing basis. The person may be both a councillor and a deputy mayor. Much like being a director on the regional district board, you have responsibilities and duties to both. The duties for a deputy mayor would include acting in place of the mayor as in accordance to the community charter, so that acting mayor role. But it would also include attending all the council agenda review meetings with the mayor, the CAO, and the corporate officer, so they know what's on the agenda and can take over. It's to support the mayor whenever a second elected person would be beneficial. For example, when sitting down with the CAO to review his performance. Presiding at committee of the whole meetings of council, representing council at official functions, either with the mayor or in place of the mayor, attending meetings with regional, provincial, and federal government officials, and anything else that we as a council think should be included. The deputy mayor would need to be somebody who would work well with the mayor, but it's also important they have the respect and confidence of council and that their place is approved by council. The duties, I think the duties of a deputy mayor are important for ensuring political accountability. It should be somebody who can serve as a check on the mayor. It may sound strange for a mayor to be saying there needs to be a check on the mayor, but there needs to be a check on the mayor. There have been occasions in the past when councillors wonder how an agenda item got onto a council meeting agenda. Perhaps you're wondering how this one got on right now. Or why something wasn't on the agenda, or why an agenda item was being discussed in camera when probably it should be discussed in an open meeting. There have been occasions where the mayor attends a regional meeting or a meeting with government officials and comes back to inform council what commitment was made in that meeting, only for councillors to respond, wait a second, we haven't discussed this, or we haven't agreed to this. This happens everywhere. And those of us who have served previously know it's happened here more than once. And not just this last council, but councils before that as well. As mayor, I have no intentions of conducting myself in such a way, but probably previous mayors had no intention of conducting themselves in that way either. But somehow, something happens, and before you know it, the mayor and the rest of council are no longer aligned. So let's put a control mechanism in place. Let's have a second elected official participate in those important meetings to ensure the mayor is saying only what they're entitled to say by policy or by council. Let's have a second set of eyes and ears at these meetings so we don't leave any stones unturned. And let's ensure a councillor's perspective is available when we report back to the rest of council. I want to clarify that I'm not saying only the mayor and deputy mayor are to attend meetings. I appreciate every councillor has their own areas of interest and expertise, and we'll want to take full advantage of that. The idea is that we all work together in a way that benefits Summerland. During the election campaign, I talked to a lot of people about leadership. I heard there was a desire for a different kind of leadership. People are kind of tired of the old top-down, us versus them style. I heard people want leaders who can cooperate and provide stability. If you're wondering how a deputy mayor can help bring stability, I think it might help to think of how Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland brings stability to Justin Trudeau's government. Or for those of us old enough, how Alan McEachran brought stability to Pierre Trudeau's government. Or how Don Mazankowski brought stability to Brian Mulroney's government. There's probably a PhD thesis for someone that without a good deputy, there can be no stability. I think that's as true for politics as it is for business or team sports, or just about anything. When I think of my former employer, Microsoft, everybody knows Bill Gates, but every Microsoft employee also knows that Microsoft wouldn't become the company that it became if it wasn't for Steve Ballmer, who's Bill Gates' deputy. Stability also means committed, continuous leadership. It heard clearly during the election campaign. People want some certainty that leadership will remain intact for the duration of council's term. I myself certainly have no intention of going anywhere in the next 4 years. The deputy mayor, I think, should be seen as part of that leadership team, so it makes sense that they not change halfway through the term or every year or every 6 months for the same reasons for stability and continuity. Switching around, alternating positions every year is disruptive and it creates instability. It runs counter to the whole purpose of having a deputy mayor. And this applies, I think, just as much to committee and board appointments and council liaison appointments. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. Looking at the bigger picture of continuity, there's one further thing I'd like to ask everybody to consider. I'm part of that generational demographic known as the baby boomers. Just a hunch, but I don't think I'm the only one at this table who is. We boomers have a firm grasp on every local council in the country and probably throughout the Western world, and we're showing no signs of wanting to let go. We're able to hang on because most of the voting public are also boomers. However, because there's very little space for younger people on the main political stage, they are feeling disenfranchised and are being pushed to the fringes. One of the reasons politics is becoming angrier, more divided, and more radicalized is because of this. We saw with the results of this past election that voters value experience. Sometimes voters throw experienced people out of office and replace them with new blood, but they know they can always go back to the experienced people if the new people don't work out. We often see this play out in Ticton, but it sometimes happens here as well. I can't help but wonder what will happen when people no longer have a choice to vote in or out experience, because there's nobody with experience left. What happens when all of us boomers ride off into the sunset together and we've done nothing to ensure continuity to the next generation? I'd like to think, or I think we'd leave a leadership vacuum and probably divide a community with a hollowed out middle ground. Maybe this is none of our concern here, but I think if we're in a position to do something to give future voters the option of experienced leadership, then why wouldn't we do it? And one way we can do it is through the position of the deputy mayor. I believe it would serve the community well in the long run if we had a deputy mayor who's a Gen X or a millennial or some other post-boomer demographic, someone who can develop the leadership skills that will be in short supply, but badly needed once us boomers hang up our chains of office. For the present moment, I understand we need to concern ourselves with the effectiveness of this current council. And for that, we would want the deputy mayor who is competent and who has council experience, preferably an incumbent who is well versed on all the issues. Finding somebody who is both young and experienced is never easy in any field. But Summerland is unique, and we're in the fortunate position of having someone on council who can bring the best of both worlds. Having worked with Councillor Trainer for the past 8 years on council, I know she's more than capable. She has always had the respect of council, and having topped the polls, I think we can say she has the confidence of the community. I therefore would like to propose we create a deputy mayor position and that we appoint Councillor Trainer as the deputy mayor. It's okay to deal with each of these items as separate motions, and I think we should probably do that. And before I ask for a motion, I think to be on the table, I open it up to questions and concerns. Is anybody who wants to, the floor is open. Councilor B.
Thank you, Your Worship. I appreciate being recognized. I do agree with the concept that we need non-fragmentation in terms of our representation, whether it being an acting mayor or a deputy mayor. And having worked under both situations, I can see the benefit of having a longer term for either of those positions. I too believe that what we've done in the past in this council for the last 8 years has been very fragmented and not allowed the kind of representation that we could possibly benefit from and the leadership training that those positions can bring forward. And for some of that discussion and the fact that I believe the continuity plus the representation to the public and the suggestion for review of agendas are all very good ideas, I would like to suggest the opportunity for an appointment that would be for 2 years for Aaron Trainer as the deputy mayor. And that would bring the position to January 2023 through to December 2024. And then allow an opportunity to be decided by the end of September in that year for another councillor to be appointed for another 2-year term that would then go from 2025 to 2026. This would allow continuity representation, training of possible candidates for future positions, represent the community in official functions and community gatherings, concurrently with or in place of the mayor and chair committee of the whole meetings, while also promoting better oversight of the agenda items by attending agenda review meetings and allow for a second councillor representative to be present with the mayor and CEO to high-level external meetings. I think the opportunity to train councillors in a more elevated position is in fact something that would be appropriate for councillors to undertake. And I think that we have people that are coming along that might be very interested in doing that. So that is a suggestion I have for an amended or if it's accepted as a motion, because we haven't spoken to the original motion. But I'd like to say that the opportunity to discuss this is excellent here. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Barco.
Is that a plot to silence me? No.
No, just right now, if people have questions and concerns, then we'll take that, but there's no motion on the floor.
Right. First of all, I'd like to applaud you, Mayor Holmes. Didn't say Madam Mayor, I was going to do that. But for this new mayor, new ideas, and it's kind of what we expect. And we more new ideas better, whether they all wind up being exactly in the form that they're presented or maybe shaped by council. That's, we can talk about here. I have a question. Why did you suggest, well, first of all, I'd say, yes, I agree. I think that 2 heads are better than 1 and for agenda reviews. And I really do agree with the concept of the checks and balances. It's a high level thinking, and when everything's working perfect, you don't really think about it much, but things don't always work perfectly. And having that check and balance that Mayor Holmes referred to is, I think, a very good idea. The question was, why do you suggest that the deputy chair of the community of the whole meetings?
So, community of the whole is kind of where we start, introduce ideas and flesh things out, and a little less formal. And there's 2 reasons. One, it would give the deputy mayor an opportunity to chair meetings and become comfortable with chairing meetings. And it would also be a time to allow the mayor to then participate in discussion at very early stages when it's being discussed and introduced to council, as opposed to later on in the discussion when decisions are being made. It's just a way to allow the mayor to have some input early on in the discussion, because once it comes to the table for a decision, I would be playing a more impartial role. That makes sense? Councilor Bennett.
In the event of two-year terms, is it possible? Okay, so in the event of, say we do two-year terms, is it possible for council to select councilor trainer to continue in that event?
Yes.
Okay. It's anything we want it to be. It's whatever. That's certainly you can bring forward a motion saying it'll be reviewed after 2 years. Maybe just for whatever reason won't work, and so you can just bring a motion. The motion could say that we review the whole thing after 2 years. But it's up to whoever puts the motion on the table.
Thank you, Mayor Holmes. I'd like to put a motion on the table if I may. You consider,
There's no other questions? Okay, go ahead.
to consider the appointment of Councilor Trainer for Deputy Mayor for the 2022 to 2026 council term, and to be reviewed after 2 years.
Do I have a second for that motion? That's Patton. Okay, so that's, we'll need another motion in there as well to actually create this position. But any discussion on the motion that's on the table?
If I may, just.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilor Van Alphen.
Thank you. You summed it up very well in your opening remarks. Councilor Trainer has had 8 consecutive years on council, many terms in the RDOS, and I think she would make a fabulous deputy mayor. And I don't have a problem. I think it's a great idea to create this position, and I think she would represent us very well. Thank you.
Councilor Trainer.
Hello? Okay, good. So Mayor Holmes asked me about this position, the position in general, not about me being it, but the position in general a couple of weeks ago. And I was very supportive of it for all of the reasons that he provided tonight. And I'll repeat a couple of them. But my biggest reason for supporting this role is that it provides strong and consistent backup leadership. Just like an assistant captain for hockey or a co-pilot in flight, it provides that stability that we need. People in our town know that if Mayor Holmes isn't available, that they can count on the deputy mayor. The deputy mayor will be responsible for being totally up to date on most of the issues affecting the district and can ideally step up in a seamless fashion when needed, reducing the disruption to council business. They can also provide a valuable second set of eyes on the agenda review. And this position is more than an acting mayor. It demands time, energy, and enthusiasm, and it demands that the deputy mayor be present and able to work with the mayor to support him and to add a critical and constructive voice when needed. They can attend additional meetings and ensure that we've got all opportunities for our district covered. That being said, the deputy mayor remains only one vote on council and is no more or less important than all of the councillors. We are all on a team and we all work together, with each councillor bringing their strength, their voice, and their interests to the table. Having two leaders, in my mind, makes us stronger and a more effective and cohesive team. I would be honored to be the first deputy mayor in Summerland in recent history. I'm not sure if we've had one before, I don't know, way back. I have 8 years of experience behind me and I'm ready to step up. Well, Mayor Holmes and I don't agree on everything. We come from different backgrounds, we are at different stages in our lives. We have a great deal of respect for each other and we work well together. We share an overall common vision for Summerland and both have a desire to continually improve the quality of life for everybody in our town. I believe that we both have the ability to see the bigger picture and to understand how world and regional issues affect us locally. I want to be a role model for others, and I want to develop my skills as well. Local politics really is where my heart is, as cheesy as it sounds, it is, and I would be honored to accept this role. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Flynn. Councillor Peak.
Please, that when this opportunity, there's money. I appreciate the discussion and I totally support the idea of reviewing the representation of deputy mayor at 2 years. I think that's more than fair in terms of putting a new role forward, and I'm sure that Aaron will do a great job at it. And I hope that there will be others that may take it on in the future, because I do think it's a great training opportunity. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Corporate officer, can I just get you to read the motion back if you don't mind?
So it's that Councillor Trainer be appointed as a deputy mayor for 2 years and then office for 2022 to 2024. And further that the deputy mayor appointment be reviewed after 2 years.
Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Sorry.
Didn't we decide upon 4 years with review at 2?
So 2000, yeah, and review that too. So just as it's written with the extension, you do that after 2 years. And then, I'm afraid we're not finished. Who's the other? We just did the first part there, Marty. If you want to take the other part forward or something. We have to create the position as well. We can't just appoint because somebody's the position that does, because it doesn't exist right now. Sure.
Just all at once. So we actually have the motion on the floor at Councillor Randolph and brought it forward, so we either need to vote on that or
I'm sorry.
amendment to add the other.
Okay, so I'm new at this. Okay, so I'll call the question. Do we all understand the question? Yeah? Okay, call the question. All in favor? Okay, that's passed. Councillor Marco.
As you say, we need to do the steps involved here. I would just like to change the motion to concerning the council procedure bylaw to say specifically that the deputy mayor will be elected by the council. And however the process is written, that is, I think, what we need to ensure that we're saying, that they're elected by council.
Okay, could you put that motion
I
on?
was thinking about how to word that, and I'll try. And that staff, the staff be directed to amend the council procedure bylaw 2018, 35, to create the appointment of a for the election of a deputy mayor by council. Does that work for the corporate officer?
If I may, is it election or appointment?
Election. I said appointment first, and I corrected myself to say election of a deputy mayor by council.
But if I may make a comment on that, I guess. I think it's essential that council approves whatever the appointment. But I also think it's important that the mayor has a say in it, because that it's two people have to work together. So what about the idea that the mayor proposes something and it has to be approved by council? That work.
I believe that the mayor could propose anyone under this process, and it doesn't necessarily have to be written in the procedures that the mayor propose someone. You would still want to do that, and the way things work, others might be proposed and might not, but you raise a good point, and obviously council would have to be considering who they think might work with the mayor best. And who they choose might depend on what is going on at the time and who the mayor is and what has happened in the past and what they expect. So there's lots of, you're kind of at the mercy of council, but you kind of expect council to have some good sense in that too.
I support this question of corporate officers, so this would come back to council once the bylaw amendment's drafted, and that would have to be approved the wording, right? So, could I just ask the corporate officer to read out the motion, Councilor Barco's motion?
Yep, so it says staff be directed to amend the council procedure bylaw number 2018-025 to select the appointment of a deputy mayor by election of council. And then add that, are you gonna add the second part of the motion and that staff be directed to amend the council on emergencies?
Okay, and Councilor Peter seconding that?
I would like to second that, but I agree with adding the amendment to allow a stipend. We added to the motion, so we're not doing too many motions. If that's acceptable to Councilor Barber.
Is that acceptable?
Well, yes, but it complicates things if there was to be some discussion on the amount of the stipend. If
You can still have a discussion.
But then there's amendments to the motion. I guess you didn't want too many motions. I wanted to separate each item that would be.
Okay, so let's just take if there's no other discussion on the motion that's on the table, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, that carries. Okay, next.
If I might propose the third part, and that staff be directed to amend the council remuneration policy to allow for a stipend of $600 per month for the deputy mayor.
Okay, do I have a second for that? Councilor Van Elfen, any discussion? Councilor Barker.
Could you elaborate on how this $600 a month number came?
That's what the vice chair of the RUS receives. And because there's not really any other examples out there, we figured, well, we'll go for vice chair. I think this position would actually have greater responsibilities than the vice chair of the RUS has, but for trying to find like for like, that's about the closest we could get. Councilor Peak.
Always for the sake of discussion, that's an example from the RDOS, but a deputy position at the RDOS is a much larger table. This is a smaller table. Does that mean that it should be the 600, or should it perhaps be 400?
It might be a larger table, but the responsibilities, aren't that great for the vice chair. It's, you attend the agenda review meetings and that's pretty much it.
You've sat on as deputy chair in this region. I did it elsewhere and was certainly more complicated, but I accept your discretion.
Any other discussion? No, it's your turn.
My question is for the corporate officer. Is this something that I should step out of now that I've been appointed to the position? I will. I will not vote on this part. Thank you. This is our first time doing this, so we're all learning with this position.
Does that go behind the curtain? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. The trainer, you can come back. I guess I have to step in for the next part too. There's one last one I believe, isn't it?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and further to that,
That's because, because this doesn't take effect until the 1st of January, because we need time to change the bylaw and everything. So we still need to appoint an acting mayor for November and December.
okay, thank you, and that further that Aaron Trainer, Councillor Trainer be appointed as acting mayor for November and December 2022.
Seconder for that. Councillor Peak. Any discussion? Next step out. Yeah.
So just to be clear for the public then, if this passes, I would be acting mayor until December 31st, and then starting on January 1st, I would assume the deputy mayor role, just for clarification.
That's the intent, yeah. Okay, all in favor? That carries. And we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the appointment to the Regional District Okanagan Board of Directors. We have to do this now because the RDS is having their ceremony this week, later this week. So there's the staff report, which I think you all read. I recommend that motion with budget blanks. I'll just start by saying that I do believe it's important that the mayor serves the full term as a director of RDS as long as they maintain the confidence of council. It's important for the stability and continuity of Summerland's representation on the RDS that there's somebody that stays for the full term. And there's an expectation from the RDS that there is that continuity. There is a learning curve to be an RDS director, the same as there's a learning curve to be a councillor, so it takes time for a new director to settle in, get to know the issues, the people, the processes. And so I don't see the benefit to the community yanking somebody from the role just as they're becoming effective. And as I said, I think this applies to all the committees, boards, and liaisons that we have. Though I appreciate that there's a lot of interest in being an RDS director, and I think we can, and we've done it before, make a change halfway through. And so long as we give the RDS notice that that's what we're going to do, I think they can prepare for that. And I think ideally, whoever takes over halfway through should have some familiarity with the RDS, either previously as a director or as an alternate. And I understand that circumstances can change, and we might have to make changes that we hadn't planned. But generally, I don't think we should disrupt things intentionally. And so that's kind of all my comments on that. And if anybody has any other comments or questions, or we want to bring a motion forward, Okay, then. Councillor Peak.
I would like to know who would be interested in being the mayor of the US, because I have not spoken with other councillors around the table.
Well, I have. It's,
But perhaps you're the only one that has.
yeah. Well, I think there's at least 3 people who have expressed interest to me. I haven't had a chance to talk to Councillor Betts about it. And so, there's Councillor Parkwell, Councillor Van Alphen, Councillor Trainer, who have expressed interest.
Thank you, I appreciate knowing the people that were interested.
Yep.
In fact, Your Worship, you did speak with me as well, and I said at this time I'm not interested. And I would provide an opportunity to bring forward the motion with
Yeah, before, maybe other people have questions.
Certainly, thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Your Worship. There we go. Thank you, Your Worship. I do concur that I believe that Councillor Hartwell and Councillor Van Alphen and Councillor Trainer would do well in positions as our RDOS directors. And if Councillor Peak is okay with it, I'd like to do motion forward.
Okay, okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm on, okay. That Doug Holmes be appointed to the Regional District of Okanagan-Smealcomene, RDOS, Board of Directors with Aaron Trainer appointed as the alternate for a 4-year term from 2022 to 2026. And that Marty Van Alphen be appointed to the Regional District of Okanagan-Smealcomene, RDOS, Board of Directors with Richard Barkwell as the alternate for a 2-year term from 2022 to 2024. And further, that Richard Barkwell be appointed to the Regional District of Okanagan-Smealcomene, RDOS, Board of Directors with Marty Van Alphen as the alternate for a 2-year term, 2025 to 2026.
Councillor Trainer, second. Yep. Any discussion? Let's see, Councillor Peak.
I think they're all very good ideas, and I think it's great to go forward.
Okay, thank you. Now I'll call the question. All in favor? That carries. And now we adjourn. Do we get a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Councillor Patton, Councillor Trainer, all in favor? Carried. That's it.
Good.